Welcome to K&D's Homestead. I'm Donna. This video is all about growing tomatoes. First, I'm going to share a few of the varieties that I like, maybe some I don't like, and the ones that I've grown in the past. And then I'm going to go over some guidelines to grow healthy, beautiful, flavorful tomatoes. These are San Marzano tomatoes. They are great for canning and making all kinds of sauces. They are a prolific grower. They're sweet, low acid, and have a wonderful flavor. These are Brad's Atomic Grape tomatoes. The more they mature, the darker they get, and then they turn purple. They are beautiful tomatoes, but I really wasn't a fan of the flavor. They're fast growers and prolific producers. The majority of these are big beef or beefsteak slicers. These are my favorite sandwich or fresh eating tomatoes. Homegrown tomatoes are often imperfect in shape and occasionally will have a spot that has to be cut away, but they are by far cleaner and healthier than store-bought. These are solar flare tomatoes. While these were imperfect in shape, they are a large beefsteak tomato, very meaty, and a real sweet flavor. These were slightly over 1 pound each, big beef tomatoes. I pulled these from the garden early to make fried green tomato slices. My absolute favorite tomato is the St. Pierre. They are meaty, tender, great rich flavor, and they are excellent for canning and fresh eating, and they're also excellent producers. They almost always form perfect tomato shapes, and they are a mid-sized to large tomato. These are celebrity tomatoes. They are a hybrid bush tomato, and they are great for canning and excellent sandwich tomatoes. These indeterminates grew all the way to my 9-foot greenhouse roof, and I had to prune them often to keep the size in check. Tomato plants in healthy soil can grow to enormous size and can sprawl the whole growing area if they are healthy and happy. Growing tomatoes is easy and very rewarding as long as a few guidelines are followed. I created a PDF downloadable document that is for free, laying out as many guidelines as I could for successful tomato growing. Here's what's in the document. Tomatoes need at least 6 to 8 hours of full sun, but the extreme temperatures during mid to late summer can burn tomato plants and cause blossom drop. That's when all of the little flowers start falling off, and one would think it's for no reason, but really there is a reason. Therefore, they will benefit from shade cloth or shelter to prevent this from happening. If it happens, find ways to shade the plants and keep them well watered and fed, and they will generally bounce back and begin putting on blossoms again once there is a cool down period and they are no longer stressed from the heat. Tomatoes prefer slightly acidic soil, a pH range of 6.0 to 6.8, but they will tolerate up to 7.2. Any higher pH begins to be a bit too alkaline for healthy tomatoes to grow well. Tomatoes need well-draining soil that is rich in organic matter, such as compost, mixed in, and they don't do well in wet soil for extended periods of time because the roots will rot easily. Tomatoes are heavy feeders and need an equal balance of nitrogen for greenery, leaf, and stem growth. They need phosphorus for the blossoms and the fruit, and they need potassium for root growth and overall health. Use organic matter that's slow release fertilizer or a balanced granular fertilizer such as 10-10-10 or slightly higher every 3 to 4 weeks. When it comes to germination of tomato seeds, heat and light are needed for germination. This can be achieved indoors with a heat mat and grow lights, or sown directly outside once the temperatures of the soil are adequate and the sun is strong enough. Seeds should not be planted too deep, which causes lack of sunlight for germination, and they need that sun to germinate. Seeds generally take 5 to 10 days to germinate and 60 to 80 days, depending on the variety, to harvest fruit. The time to harvest is counted from transplant time and not germination date. A scheduled water routine works best, not allowing them to dry out or being overwatered, which will cause root rot. Water at the base of the plant and avoid wetting the foliage when possible. I know they get rained on, but we can't stop Mother Nature, but we can prevent ourselves from saturating the plant if we can do it at all costs. Deep watering encourages a strong root system. Mulching helps retain moisture and it suppresses weeds. Tomatoes benefit from a timed drip line to ensure adequate watering. Aphids, caterpillars, including the tomato hornworm, whiteflies, blights, wilts, and powdery mildew are the most common issues when dealing with tomato plants. Treat diseases early with appropriate fungicides and use appropriate insecticides when necessary. Determinate tomatoes are bush-type plants, usually hybrids, producing most of their fruit all at once or within a few weeks. They normally will continue to set fruit, but not as many or as often as the first run of fruits. They are commonly used for canning tomatoes, and the determinate tomato makes for an excellent canned tomato. Some staking or caging is normally required, but not as much as the indeterminates. They are suitable for container growing if the container is large enough. Pruning is not normally necessary, but can be done if needed to control the shape and size. Pruning does, however, decrease the amount of harvest because the determinate tomatoes pretty much put out all that they have at the same time. Indeterminate tomatoes are plants that grow and develop through the entire growing season and are considered a vining plant that should be supported or trellised. They can be a hybrid or an heirloom. They are commonly grown for fresh eating, cooking, and some canning. Pruning is recommended, though not required, to prune suckers on indeterminate plants to direct energy towards fruit development. Remove any yellowing or diseased leaves as soon as possible to avoid spreading more disease. Not pruning does not adversely affect the fruiting or harvest, but it does allow the plant to become overly large, heavy, and sprawling, basically quite a bit out of control. Harvesting tomatoes on a regular basis will encourage the development of new flowers and fruits. While harvesting, it's a great time to inspect the plants for damage, disease, or insects that need to be addressed. A hybrid plant is created through natural cross-pollination between two or more types and varieties, being bred to be more disease-resistant and faster growing than the parent plants. The seeds from hybrids don't produce the exact copy of the parent plant, but will be a variation of the crossed plants and can also be a new plant altogether. Germination of hybrid seeds isn't guaranteed and is often disappointing, but it is doable. Hybrids are not GMO. Heirloom plants are grown from seeds that have been stabilized over centuries and will produce the same true plant as the parent plant with greater germination success. Heirlooms are non-GMO. Blossom end rot. This is when you see those nasty little rotting spots on the bottom of the tomatoes, usually tomatoes and peppers. This is a condition caused by lack of calcium. It doesn't mean your soil is lacking in calcium, but it normally happens because of too much or too little water. Flooding the plant with too much water prevents it from uptaking the calcium properly, and a lack of water causes the inability to uptake the calcium as well, since the roots need water to uptake all nutrients. Water has to come up through the roots, and all of the vitamins, minerals, nutrients are pulled up into the root system. Adding Epsom salt to the soil does not help and can burn the plants at the roots. Epsom salt is magnesium, not calcium. Magnesium, however, does help plants to absorb the calcium and is better achieved by making a weak foliar spray solution and spraying directly on the leaves several times a week, maybe for a few weeks but not long term, along with correcting the watering method. Remember, the watering method could be the reason for it lacking in calcium. Cut off all damaged fruit and wait for new fruit if you experience blossom end rot. Blossom end rot will correct itself with proper watering. A general Epsom salt solution can be 1 tablespoon of Epsom salt per gallon of water as a foliar spray for magnesium, but this ratio is debatable amongst many gardeners across the globe. The use of Epsom salt is also debatable, so proceed with caution. On a final note, tomatoes are very easy to grow and they are a joy to harvest and use for fresh eating or in favorite recipes. By following a few simple rules of having well-draining and healthy soil, proper watering, insect and disease control, prolific harvest can be achieved without a lot of major hacks that we see all over the internet. Until recently, hybrids were non-GMO, but there have been a new genetically modified tomato that was created from crossing a tomato with a snapdragon in a lab to create a true purple tomato, with a lot of controversy surrounding the sale of the plant. Most seeds purchased in the U.S. are supposed to be non-GMO, but it's probably prudent to check the label. By just following a few simple rules, we can all raise healthy, beautiful, delicious tomatoes. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that you gained some insight from the information I have given. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, I hope you will subscribe. Thank you for following my videos, and I will see you on the next video. Y'all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.